Cool. So we'll start with a 2 minute silence and then we'll take it from there. Yeah. So when you're ready, go now. Okay, we're going to start with a check-in. So just checking in with introduction to who you are, your name, brief summary of who you are, and just how you're feeling today.
It's Jaiveer Asthana. I am a sports massage therapist. I feel pretty content. It's a good new year beginning. 2025 is going to be everyone's year. Hopefully it's mine too.
Sweet. Yeah, so my name's Jag, and yeah, I'm feeling good. I feel like there's loads of things I want to be doing, and normally I start the new year with like quite a few goals. This year I've started with nothing. I'm just gonna carry on as what I was doing before, and just I have intentions, and I'm just gonna kind of focus on them. So I feel good. I feel like it doesn't feel like a new year yet. It just feels like I'm um carrying on from the last year, and trying to slowly build up the momentum towards my goals. So yeah, overall feeling good. Um, so I guess
No goals. You
so.
reckon no goals this
So
year?
I have goals that I did had from last year. So they are like health related, work related, and I guess I haven't fully achieved them. So I'm just kind of pushing towards that this year, with maybe finer, better intentions and tasks. But I'm also not forcing myself to kind of go down like the idea of being fixated on it, because I feel that's what let me down last year. If that makes sense. So this year, if I carry on the way I am, I probably will hit them. But it's just about being productive and taking action each day, if that makes sense. So taking each day as it comes.
Okay, not like you don't get like anxious about each goal. I haven't hit it this year, and then then you're stressed, and then it doesn't get done anyway.
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like the last, like forever, I've always had goals, and sometimes I hit them and I'm happy. Sometimes I don't. I'm like, okay, next year I'll do it. So I don't know. This year I've approached it differently, and like I feel different in the sense I know I'm working towards those goals, and I guess some of the goals are probably long term, bigger pictures, bigger things. So I know I'm working towards it. I've got tasks I can do to fast forward me towards those goals. So I'm just kind of taking action slowly towards it. So yeah, I guess I'm trying to not get anxious. I don't feel anxious, and essentially I'm taking one step at a time, if that makes sense.
I think especially this time of year, people get really anxious about hitting everything. Like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna get rich, I'm gonna start business, I'm gonna take over the world. Middle of
Yeah.
Jan, they're kind of done. They're also
Yeah.
found drinking, so there's that aspect of it that really affects them.
Hmm.
It's an interesting one today to take it so easy and take it more as life gives it to you.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I guess it is good. Yeah. I think I've been thinking more about like the long term picture. Normally, I'm quite like a short term person. I'm think 3 months ahead, 6 months ahead. Let's try and get it done. Whereas I feel the last few months has been a shift toward thinking long term. And when I'm thinking long term, actually, it's more about the person I want to become. So it's more about how can I implement that day to day, as opposed to like forcing myself to become that person. Does that make sense?
Really understand. Nice.
So I guess for the audience, the people that don't know you, you mentioned you were a sports massage therapist, but I also know you do many other things. And there's other things that you are interested in, you're passionate about. One of them is jiu-jitsu. What other things are you interested about? Just so the audience kind of, I guess, get a better idea of who you are and what you enjoy doing.
I think combat sports is a big one because it got me out of a place where I wasn't doing so well. And when I was about 23 is when I really got into combat sports in a big way. It found me at a point where I was doing uh, I was a recruit. No, I just left my catering job. I was a chef for 4 years before that, and I was transitioning into a different career almost. So I went into sales, and I was a recruitment consultant at the point where I took up jujitsu, and my career wasn't going to plan. Life just didn't feel like it was going well, and then this thing kind of focused me, and it gave me more of a, I don't know, goals and aims, and it focused my attentions into something that was at the start very healthy. Like I lost a little weight, but with combat sports comes its fair share of horrific injuries and broken bones, and you get less and less time for yourself as you focus more time into combat sports as you want to improve. I think from that, as I got more into it, I've been doing it 10 years now. I think it's one of the best things you can get into, but it's also something that you have to be careful you don't get completely engulfed by,
Mm.
but still something I love with a
Hmm.
passion.
And I guess what was it that kind of enticed you into it? How did it like shift you away from your day-to-day life?
I mean, realistically, I'm a massive nerd of anime, so I watched Dragon Ball Z growing up and Naruto and all the good stuff. And then never really did it, never really fought, never really did anything, and I felt, I don't know, as a man everyone thinks that they can fight everyone, and
Mm.
to a certain degree, like, oh, if someone came up to me, I'd punch him in the face. Yeah, but when you get into combat sports, you recognize that that wouldn't work. Like if
Mm.
you've never fought before, it's completely different.
Mm.
And finding somewhere where everyone was learning and everyone is kind of nerdy, it kind of made put me at a very, very comfortable place. Because like
Mm.
gym environments are scary.
Yeah.
Everyone's jacked, everyone's lifting huge weights. But combat sports was a bunch of nerds learning how to like grapple and play. So it was a perfect environment for me to grow in.
Nice. It sounds like you found your kind of essentially like community in that sense, like people you can connect with a shared sense of purpose or passion. Nice. So I guess I've delved into BJJ. So I did it for like a year, and I've stopped. And I kind of want to go back actually, but for me, there's also aspect that I want to start trying to do boxing. Kind of
Nice.
recently, and
I started boxing recently.
oh, nice, yeah. So
Yeah.
like, I guess part of what you said about how like as a man you have to fight. So there's always been a part of me like I've never been a fighter. Like it's not just I don't naturally want to fight. Whereas when I started BJJ, I was like, this is quite interesting, and I guess what I learned in BJJ, I was quite like a defensive person. Boxing has always enticed me, and it's something I want to start kind of delving more into. I guess more for the attacking part, and I don't know if that's correct terms in that sense.
Like, you've never done striking arts, right?
I've done a bit of kickboxing in the past. That's it, yeah.
I would say boxing can also, you can also be quite defensive in boxing. If you look
Mm,
at some of the greats like Prince Nassim and like Manny Augustus, they had an evasive style. If you look at Cuban boxing is really like evasive, but quite like they're very fluid and dancey. And
mm,
that's the styles I sort of almost gravitate towards. Now there's the aggressive styles like
mm,
Mike Tyson, then
yeah.
but those are ones might not suit your personality best.
Mm,
I think if you fight against your natural instincts to be more defensive and evasive, to then be like, oh, it's going to make me attack, that might not want you to continue. You might not want to continue because it's so against your own nature.
that's quite interesting. I've never actually thought about it in that sense. So I guess, yes, I guess that kind of answers my question. But I guess, um, for you, what made you want to go into boxing? And in terms of combat
Again,
sports as well, yeah.
again, it's an anime. It's called Ippo. If
Hmm.
anyone wants to give it a go, it showed like a bullied boy that goes into boxing and finds his way of boxing. His coaches are great, and it also delves quite a lot into CTE, which is huge in boxing.
What is that,
Brain
sorry?
damage. It's brain damage.
Okay, fine. Okay, yeah.
So what enticed me about boxing is the evasive nature and like how it's more it's a science. It's not really fighting.
Mm,
Fighting is very different from combat sports, and I think that's where people get it twisted. You'll
mm,
be a lot better off fighting if you have combat sports background, but
mm.
fighting is not combat sports.
Okay, yeah. Um, Fine. I guess when you are like, say you're boxing, for example, you started boxing, what kind of, what do you feel when you do that sport versus like something like combat sports, like BJJ, for example?
BJJ is grappling, so it's
Hmm.
still. combat sports, since
Mm-hmm.
still attacking and defending, but it's a very different. It's an art. It's an art into itself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's one part of mixed martial arts. Um, Boxing is a striking art, just using your fists, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
and your upper half, and you realize how well you can move on the ground when you've done it for 10 years, and how badly you can move on your feet because you've never done it. And
Mm.
it shows you a different way to move around and to navigate your arena, which is the boxing ring. How to cut off other players or to get cut off yourself. Um, what's really interesting about boxing is that your your cardio is different for jiu-jitsu than it is to boxing. So people who can roll forever might not be able to box forever, and vice versa, because it's jiu-jitsu is like swimming, boxing's like climbing. It's almost like
Mm.
that.
Okay, fine. So it sounds like for you, it's like almost like a different challenge for you to face and like different skill set to learn.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's fun as well. It's really fun. If you
Yeah.
get it right, you look
Yeah.
amazing and you feel like a god. But when you're getting like knocked around, you're like, ah,
Of
what's
course.
the point?
And I guess like there's an element of like the first thing that came up is like when you are getting knocked down or someone's taking you out, there's a level of like ego like being
Oh,
demolished, you
huge.
know. How do you manage that? Is there a way that you manage it? Have you found that you've kind of just overcome it naturally or
For me, it's like it's fun. It's fun. Like the if I tell you the first time I did jujitsu, I got paired with quite a young. I was 23, he was 20, so I was like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna kill this kid.
Yeah.
He put me to sleep, and I was like, I need to learn this. I need to know how to do this. And similar to boxing, I got in with a guy called Mo. He's 70. Oh no, he's not 70. That's doing him a discredit. He's 67.
Okay.
But I just thought, he was this old man. Let me punch him up. He ran circles around me. He punched me at will. I didn't know where I was. It was brilliant. And I was like, if this guy at this age can do this to me, I want to learn this.
Mm.
There's a similar to when Will beat me up in jujitsu. I was like, if this skinny kid can do this to me, I want to learn. And that's how I've always got over my ego. It's like, I need to learn this so I don't feel like bad. I need
Mm.
to be better than I was when I started.
Fine, nice. It's kind of like I guess rather than seeing it as like something about you and going into that kind of victim state, you kind of say reframing into be like, what can I learn from this? What can you pick up from this? And kind of using that as a learning curve in that sense.
Of course.
Hmm.
So you should see anything. Like,
Hmm.
what's a skill that's outside of combat sports that you had to learn recently?
Myself,
Yeah.
so I do dancing, so there's like probably some dancing skills that I've had to learn. Yeah.
Nice. What sort of dance?
So hip hop, Afro, and breaking is what I've done.
Breaking.
Yes, yeah. I'm
That's
not that.
really
I'm not like an expert, but yes.
no, no, of course. But
Yeah.
you're starting, right?
Yeah.
You didn't go and you didn't face off against the best breaker and be like, huh,
Of course.
never gonna do
Yeah.
this again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But in fighting, that's how we see fighting. We see fighting as a very definite thing. It's like if he's better at fighting than me, I'm lesser of a man than him. But if
Mm.
we view everything like that, you'd never learn anything.
Mm. Nice.
So I think, yeah,
Is it?
everyone should go learn to fight, to dance, to do anything that they want to without having the thing of I'm lesser than the person who's done this for years.
Mm. And is this kind of, I guess, let's call it a mindset. Is this mindset something you've always had? Is it something you've grown, like nurtured?
I think I'm just a weird guy. Like I like to learn stuff. Always, I want to see where I lack, and I want to see if I can get better at it.
Mm.
Same with I'm making a movie now, so I started with shorts. I'd never done anything like that before, but gave it a go. I have a camera, I have mates, we filmed something. I've got CapCut up on my laptop and tried
Hmm.
to edit it together. And
Nice.
was the
What?
first one great? Not really. But
Yeah.
was it terrible? No. So we just build from that and we'll just grow, 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 grow.
Nice. And what kind of movie are you doing?
It's a bare knuckle boxing movie around a Nepali kid that falls in love with the Gypsy King's daughter.
Okay, cool. And
So
what's
like
inspired
a
this?
weird Romeo and Juliet mix.
And what's inspired this?
I run a writing group, and I was trying to come up with a movie I want to make, and I hadn't seen a good like fighting come kung fu come like boxing movie in a while that I like really enjoyed. Like the last one I saw was Warrior or Fighter with Mark Wahlberg. So I just wanted to make something that I knew personally. I know boxing. I know lots of fighters. Um, I have the locations. I have the people. So I was like, "What's the easiest thing? Let's write a movie."
Okay, cool. And you said you run a writers group, is that correct? So how long have you been doing that? And is that also part of something that you naturally do?
So I run multiple groups. I used to have board games club that I've handed over. I've got writing group that I've been running for 2 years. I've got horror movie club that starts on Tuesday soon, and I am currently trying to get a D&D club in that same pub.
Okay, cool. This
Yeah.
is really curious. This is cool. So it sounds like you have one, you're curious and you like to try different things, but it's also like it sounds like you have that just initiative, like you just take action and you're like, I'm gonna do this. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. What's the
Hmm.
worst that can happen?
Nice. And like let's take one of these groups. Let's take the writers group. What made you want to start it, and how did that kind of process go?
So at one stage when I wrote my novel, it was really difficult to find beta readers. They'll basically go over your manuscript and see if the story is good, if the characters are real, not really about punctuation and stuff.
Hmm.
And I went into lots of Facebook groups, and through that, I realized the writers were quite lonely. They wanted more places to bounce ideas off. So I contacted Ealing Project. They were very keen, and we started meeting up and started our group. We started with three,
Hmm.
it rose to about 10.
Hmm.
And we meet up. We used to meet up every Tuesday, but now it's once a month.
Nice. Okay. And you mentioned earlier before we started that you've got a few books as well. So is this related to that? Like, were you inspired post writing, or was it before you've started writing and then it delved into this?
Writing came to me over lockdown. I always knew I wanted to write something about dating apps and
Mm.
just the nature of repeatedly trying to do the same stuff. Like, hey, what's your favorite color? Oh, hey, do you like to go for another coffee? And it's just this nature of like, because my brain works as multiple choice. So
Hmm.
every potential scenario has a great ending, a terrible ending, and a just absolute horrifically like wild ending. So I wrote
Hmm.
that as a book. So the book became a create your own adventure based on whoever I matched with.
Hmm.
And I wrote that over a course of 2 years. At one stage, I gave up because
Yeah.
it was so hard. Like when you're just like, what am I doing? And one of my friends read it, and she was like, it's funny, just finish it.
Yeah.
So I finished it, got it read, got it edited, got it published, and I was really happy. But through that, through going through all of these steps, I also realized people were completely alone. They didn't have a community to chat to help them
Mm.
with. So having the writers group really opened up. If for a lot of people that just wouldn't have talked to each other
Mm.
without this group, we
Nice.
have people from all walks of life, which I'm really, really happy about.
And how did he like where did he find people? Was it like through online Eventbrite meetups or?
Originally it just started with the community hub in Ealing. They advertised me a bit, and then I put it on Eventbrite, and then we had a bunch of people come. Then there was word of mouth, and then the people that were coming just to like chat but didn't have much to do, they left, and the people that really wanted to write, they stayed, and
Mm.
they started writing more.
Nice. Okay. Um, so I'm interested about your dating book. So if you were to kind of delve more into it, like what are the things that you found people struggled with the most? Was it like just being in that constant cycle, not really having a clear goal with where they're going? Or is it more like they're using the same lines all the time? What was it like about the book that was different?
So what was quite interesting about the book is because I just took it from what I'd been saying or what I'd been doing on dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
And then what relationships I'd gotten into or what relationship I'd hoped to be in. Those were all that were covered. What I found really interesting is through my job actually as a therapist is when people speak to you about their own dating lives, it's not fun
Mm-hmm.
for either sex because men always like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, girls can just match with anyone, but they're not getting the people that they want to be with.
Mm-hmm.
Men are not matching with anyone. And then when they do, they almost come across as too desperate in their sort of like eagerness to want to be with these people or want to
Mm-hmm.
sleep with them or want to see this relationship through. So they never really know what they want because they never knew.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're just getting these matches and pushing themselves to be whatever they need to be with this person. And what the girls are having is that they've got so many options, it becomes overwhelming. It's just like, oh, wow, all of these men. So if they do settle down with someone, they almost feel like, what if? Same with men, same with certain men, they have so many options that they go, what if?
Mm-hmm.
And that just becomes an everlasting scenario. So you just keep going back to
Mm-hmm.
the apps. And that's what I saw with a lot of people. They feel helpless and they keep going back into the apps. But recently, apps have seen a real downward trend of people using it. People are going back to the original ways of dating, which is through friends, trying to talk to people, going to groups, running groups, a big one now,
Yes,
running
seen
club.
that,
So if you see me at a running club, you know what I'm doing there.
yeah. Cool. Okay, and cool. So I feel like we've gone like in so many different areas
Yeah,
in 23 minutes. So you've gone from chef to working as retail, writing books. You're a sports therapist now, massage therapist. You do combat sports. Like there's so many things intertwined here. What would you say like your main passion is right now? Because for me, it sounds like combat sports seems to be a big thing, and also writing. Would you say that's correct, or would you say there's other areas to this?
I think my biggest thing has always been about following what I see myself doing. Like I don't ever want to be boxed in. Jay is a sports massage therapist. Jay is a combat sports lover. Jay is a writer or a filmmaker. I always want to be able to do things that interest me. And I think that's what people stop doing very quickly in life now. They get really stuck on this is my identity. I'm a chef. I'm a school teacher. I love holidays and I have to prove I go on holidays all the time. Do you see what I mean? So they'll
Yeah.
never like expand into something else because they feel that their identity gets locked into this. Like even with me, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm the guy that tries everything, so I have to always try something different."
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I might just stick to something for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, "Oh, Jay, what are you up to now?" And I'll be like, "Making my movie for the last year. Give me a chance, you know." Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's that. I think the biggest thing for me is to show people they should try what interests them and not get stuck,
Cool. So
not be scared.
nice. So I guess the thing that popped up in my head is, and I guess I'm playing the opposite end where I'm saying, okay, cool, that's cool. But then I feel like in this day and age, from what I've seen, everyone, like you said, everyone is trying to be an expert in something. I am a dietitian. I'm the best PT out there. All these like niches people are trying to create and be the expert in that niche. Um, and I can see the benefits of that. You grow in that field, you become more of an expert in that field. You grow your knowledge in that field. For you, does that not appeal to you then, or is that more there's another aspect that you see?
I mean, if you look at say combat sports, I've done this for 10 years.
Mhm.
I love what I do. I've improved in it. I've gone from where I was to where I am. But it's also something that will always be part of my life. It's not something that I'll drop. Now, something that doesn't really appeal to me, say, I don't really want to be the best salesman in the world, or I don't want to be the best recruitment consultant, is what I was doing. So it's something that I would drop. But it's also a skill that's helped me grow in other aspects of my life. So it's not something that ever goes away. Now, people are saying, like, oh, do you just want to be a master of none? I'd rather be a master of none and have multiple things that make me happy rather than be a master of one thing where everyone comes to me for advice on nutrition per se. But I don't want to do that anymore. If that becomes a thing that I don't want to do anymore, I don't want to be stuck because I put so much into it and it's become part of my identity and personality
Mm,
that no one sees me outside of it. That's
nice. Yeah.
that's the thing that I don't want to happen.
And have you ever been stuck or in that box? Like, do you know how that feels? Like, from what you're
Yeah, like
saying, yeah.
when you're a chef, it's a big one. People in catering and hospitality will understand what I mean. When you train as a chef and when you become one, that's all you are. You work, you eat, you wash your whites, you go to sleep. Your work's about anywhere between 12 to 18-hour days. You don't get home till 2. You sleep like 3, 4 hours and you go back to work for 6. It's an endless cycle of just this is who I am, this is who I am. So when you try and come out of it, everyone asks you that question like, are you sure? Are you sure you've done this? You've educated yourself to be this chef. Do you really want to just give it up? And it's a big question that everyone in catering is asked, like especially I'd say more inside the kitchen than outside the kitchen, because
Mm,
people consider waitering in front of house more a starter job. They don't really
mhm,
see it as a career, but as a chef, you see it as this is your life.
mhm,
Everyone has a dream of opening their own restaurant or their food truck or going up to a stage where they're an executive chef. So when you come out of that, you do feel very stuck. You do feel very stupid. You feel like you're discarding this amazing skill for going into an entry level job I was doing door to door sales. So you can just see that it's going from a job that's quite revered to being an annoying guy that's like, hey, do you want to
mm.
buy this crap that I'm selling?
Nice. Okay. And what made you want to become a chef then in the first place?
Love food. I love food. I
Yeah.
love eating. I love cooking. Deals with my hands. So really appealed to me on that front.
Cool. Thinking of it from a Asian perspective, a South Asian perspective, then I can imagine my own parents being like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And there was a time, I guess, in my 20s where I was doing a lot of random things. I would be going public speaking classes to build up confidence. I would then go into a kind of Meisner acting class for a few weeks, again with the same intention, but very different. And people will look at me and be like, why are you doing these things? It's cool, it's interesting, but how do you find the time? And I guess at that time, I didn't have a clear explanation. It just felt right for me. And looking back, I don't regret it. It was great experiences. I learned a lot as well. From your perspective, when your family or parents or friends are looking at you thinking, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? How do you handle that? How do you manage that?
I don't give them as much credit. I don't give them as much say in my life
Hmm.
because it's my life. At the end of the day, I have to deal with the decisions that I've made. I have to manage my expectations, my money, my who I'm in a relationship with. But if I let people have a say on what I do want to do with myself, I don't feel I'll ever feel content in myself. So I don't give them as much weight in their opinion of me. I try and do things that makes me happy.
And again, I guess playing devil's advocate, what if they turn around and say, "Oh, you're being selfish, you're being stubborn." How do you manage that? How do you see that or perceive that?
Yeah, for always, there's always
Yeah.
those like accusations, right? Like, oh, don't you care about us? Don't you care about what'll happen? And it's like, yeah, of course I do. But I have to help you by helping myself. If I'm not happy, if I'm not content, I'll always feel that resentment. And I'd not feel resentment towards people I love.
Hmm.
And the way I do that is by doing what I think is best for myself.
Nice. And again, like, is it something that you've just always had, or is it something again you've learnt during childhood or as you were a chef?
I think it comes with time, right? You grow up. You also There's certain things that you'll discard, and there's certain things that you'll keep. Certain things that feel childish when you're older, and then you might discard. You might recover them later. As a kid, you're always looking to improve, you're always looking to try different things, and that's deemed as childish as you get older and older. Like when we're in high school, we have so many different subjects that we can do. But
Mm.
as time goes on, we're told to cut those to just the things that we believe we should be doing. Now, some of them are just deemed as this is what you're going to do as your job. So you go, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this so I can get into this university. And then even then, it's cut down even more. But as you grow up, you realize that you shouldn't be giving up those childish things and you should be enjoying them. Not everything needs to be your career.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one sad thing I see about the new generation is that they're taught very early on that everything needs to be their job. If they like drawing, why don't you monetize it? If
Mm-hmm.
you like playing video games, why don't you play Twitch or stream it? And it's like, why? Why can't I just play a game? Like, I'm going to sound mental, but I'm also, I was a primary school teacher for a while as well.
Okay.
So, for six
Yeah.
years, I taught my year twos all the way up to year six. And what each one of them would say is that they all wanted to monetize. By the time they were like seven, they were all trying to monetize whatever they like doing. And I was like, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard. As a kid, you should just be enjoying everything. But these guys are like, oh, I only play Fortnite. I only play Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but there's so many games you can play. But those are the things that get them traction. And to hear a 7-year-old talk about traction and algorithms, I was kind of like,
Yeah.
we had it good. We had it much better where we got to be kids. We got to enjoy a diverse array of things. And I think that's what we need to go back to.
Hmm. So I guess social media is probably being a culprit to this as well, one aspect of it. And I guess there's aspect of doing things to make more money, to gain more validation, um, and to, I guess I should essentially put yourself out there as an expert, And I think I wrote a recent article about this, be that golden child, be that person who's almost like a trophy, showing people, you're the best, you're good
I
at
think the,
this.
the golden child
Yeah.
thing is interesting. I think the
Mm-hmm.
golden child thing used to be. I don't think these kids are trying to be golden children. I think
Mm.
they're shown very early on that they're a product, and if the product doesn't make any money, they're
Mm-hmm.
deemed useless. So the golden child comes from parental pressures of
Mm-hmm.
like, you have to be this person that gets us out of this situation. So all the pressure's on you
Mm-hmm.
because you've shown aptitude in, say, studying or sports or
Mm-hmm.
whatever they've got their thing is, that pressure put on them. But now these children are put pressure not just from their parents, but from social media,
Mm.
society, other mates going like, oh yeah, I made 10 quid or 5 views on my YouTube channel. And then they think that that's what deems their value.
Fine, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Bits of overlap, but there are very two different things. I guess for someone, let's say someone who's watching this, who's going through that sort of process, who, and I guess if you're thinking it in their perspective, they're going to make more money, they're going to be more successful in some ways, be able to live a lifestyle they want to. What advice would you say to them? And from your own experience, have you seen other people go down that route and kind of fail?
A lot of people go down a route that they thought they should be going down and get a lot of success. And then they feel that that wasn't the money wasn't what they wanted. The success or the fame wasn't what they wanted. They feel that they had to almost like lose a part of themselves to get this. And that's the saddest thing
Mm,
when you have everything and people think you should be happy and you're almost looked at as someone that just wants to moan all the time. That's the saddest thing is when someone looks at your success and then goes, what have you got to be sad about? What have you got to be resentful about? What have you got to be sad about? That's where depression sets in because it's like you almost become that thing that is like you don't deserve to have feelings anymore just because you have fame and fortune. So I'd say
mm,
do something or go towards something that you naturally feel will help you feel better. Now, there's lots of circumstances. I'm not saying there's uncircumstances like you are really, really poor and you need this money to pay rent. You will do any job you can, but never give up those things that you have on the side. You know, like you can always take a little bit of time, maybe half an hour in the week, and do those things that you love. They don't have to become your job. They don't have to, but they bring you joy.
Mm.
What brings you joy is something that you like to do without it having a value.
Mm.
So I think
And
look for that.
and I guess for someone who's listening into this, what step can they take in that direction? Because for me, it sounds quite easy because I've done it, you know? The first few times when, I said I'm going to go to a dance class, probably sounded weird. And, I was like probably mid-20s and I was like, this is probably too late, in other people's eyes. But I knew deep down I had to do it. I had to do it for me. So I went to a class and, the rest is history. So from that perspective, like what can people do? It sounds simple, just go and do that one thing.
I
But in
mean,
terms of mindset, yeah.
this is the whole reason I've set up all these multiple clubs. They're all for free. You can go to them when you're available. I've got dates across the week where I run these things. Everything that I do, I run for free. So people don't have the excuse of, I don't have the money for it.
Mhm.
Now, there will be the constraint of time. Like it won't, I can't leave my kids here, or I don't have the time to do it in the evening. I want to do it then. You can reach out. There's multiple ways to reach out to people that do run these things, do welcome people, would want your ideas. I think the worst thing you can do is just bottle it up and think, oh, I'll never be able to do this. I'll never learn how to draw, or I'll never learn how to dance or
Mm.
do jujitsu. I'd say one thing though, combat sports is slowly becoming a quite an elitist thing. Boxing still has its place because it's quite cheap still, but most combat sports is quite expensive to
Mm.
do. Anywhere between 70 to 150 or 180 pounds per month
Mm.
for membership becomes an outrageous amount, especially if someone doesn't have the monetary. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know, like the
No, I
money
know what you mean. I know.
to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of like CrossFit because I recently started doing CrossFit. So I only go once a week and I kind of pay per class. But then the membership again, it costs like 150 to
Ooh,
£200 in some places. And I'm like, that's insane. And I always wonder, like, I understand some people can afford it, but there's probably other people who can't afford it, who probably want to experience these things. And money, I guess money is a big thing, right? You mentioned the kids who want to make money of the things they enjoy. How do you manage money? Like, are you someone who's comfortable with money? Are you someone who's learning, or do you not allow it to kind of dictate your life?
money is really important. Everyone needs to make money. This
Yeah.
is a lie. If anyone's like, oh, money doesn't matter, money does matter. And you need to do something where you are making enough where you can live a life. Now, rents are insane. A one bedroom flat is mad. You can't really move out unless you have got some rich parents, or you got some rich uncle that will leave you millions of pounds at one day. But I would say with your money, always look at it in thirds. My sister showed me this years ago. It's one third's for you, one third's for saving, one third's for a rainy day. That one third that you save, invest into stuff. Don't invest into a volatile market. Keep that as your money that you'll invest. So if you lose it, it's not so bad. Um, the money that you're investing, do it in stocks and bonds. That's probably
Hmm.
your best returns. With the money that you keep for a rainy day, you keep into a savings fund, and you keep adding to that each month. Break up your salary into thirds, and then you will feel more comfortable if you start doing that when you're 16. By the time you're in your mid 20s, you've got a decent chunk saved away where you don't feel so like, oh, don't spend everything. Holidays are great, but sometimes sacrificing a holiday to put that away might do you much better. And you can go on a bigger, better holiday slightly later. Not when you're
Mm.
60, but maybe when you're 25, 30.
Mm.
But I think people get too fixated on trying to look cool on Instagram and go and eat at a big place that does gold leaf steaks or something silly. But gold leaf tastes like nothing.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone should know that we're Indian. We know gold leaf and silver leaf taste like nothing. It's just decoration. So I'd say look after your money as quick as you can. But I'd say after when you get your first proper job, so that would be from 16 to 18, just start popping it away. But don't become obsessed with it. That will just crush you.
And of course, so you mentioned loads of things. I feel like we've gone through a lot of things. But I guess it sounds like you've gone through a loads of careers, which most people probably don't go through at all. Even within like 30, 40, 50 years of their life. So you're definitely open to trialing, failing, trying new things. You have things you're passionate about, you're pushing forward, and you have different communities that you kind of thrive in, let's say. So it sounds like on the whole, like, things are going well, like you said at the start, you feel content. Day to day, is there anything that kind of like that's on your mind that you struggle with, or do you find that these having your focus on these different kind of, let's say, boxes helps you to stay kind of present, calm, and like in the mode
I
of
mean,
being?
always,
Yeah.
there's always something that will like play in your mind, right? Like
Yeah.
one day you'll be like, oh, will I ever be able to buy a house?
Mhm.
Oh, will I ever be able to do this? Or I've got a pain in my shoulder, and I'm like, oh my lord, this really hurts. And then
Yeah.
there was like something on the news, like pains, like minor pains can be a sign of cancer. So I was like, oh, maybe I have cancer. So I went and got a blood tester. So your mind will always do lots of crazy stuff. It's about, do you take action when it's too crazy, and do you take action when there's like a something that does make sense? That's what I keep saying. It's like, does it make sense? If yes, take action. If it doesn't,
Hmm.
let it go for a bit.
And how do you let go? Because that's easier said than done for some people.
I would say if you have 10 days, go do a Vipassana 10-day silent retreat.
Yeah.
That will really chill you out. Not chill you out, it will stress the hell out of you. For those, like, day 6, you're like, what is wrong with me?
Mm.
But if you make it to the end, you'll find a calm. You'll find something that no one does if they've not done something like this, or they have like some sort of like epiphany.
Mm.
Your life is it's special, but it's only special to you. No one else cares. No one else except your mum, your dad, if you're lucky, your wife, and the people around you care. But you will blink out one day. And if you blink out with having loads of regrets that you never let go of, there'll be a bad life. I'm not going to swear,
Hmm. Yeah.
but it's going to be something that people get really het up on these small things. Like, I'll never find a girlfriend. I'll never get a house. I'll die alone. But those are things that are irrational. Every human has that thought. Some stage in their life, you have to be able to let that go, because if that's how you live, oh, I don't know how you do it.
And I guess from what you're saying, in the past, when you've had those thoughts, you've slowly learned to let go of them, or like doing
I
things
know I
like the
let them
retreat.
consume me. At one stage, I was consumed by these thoughts. It
Mm.
was just so heavy
Hmm.
that that's when I found jujitsu, and
Mm.
I it was something that showed me that all of these things, they can just leave if you're doing something so hard and so crazy. And this trying to choke another guy out, and he's trying to do the same to you.
Yeah.
So it puts your life into perspective. That's what I recommend. Everyone, go find a combat sport that you like. Go do it for fun. You don't have to
Mm.
make it a career. If you're 50 now, if you're 60 now, go and do a combat sport. It will be amazing. It'll be fun. People will look after you. It's not a scary place.
Mm. Cool. Um, I can see behind you. Um,
Good
are you?
buddy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you someone who's religious, spiritual? Are you in between?
I
Neither.
respect my like where I come from, so there'll always be gods and Ganesh. My mum always puts it in. It's a great sign of prosperity and like peace and stuff. I'd say I'm aligned more with Buddhism. It just I meditate as much as possible. It gives me I think it aligns best with my philosophy of life and death and all of those things. I'm not particularly um about heaven and hell. I'm more about making your life the best you can live and being the kindest you can to others.
Nice. What's next for you? What's on your bucket list?
Hey, right now it's movie time, right?
Of
I'm
course.
basically getting my crew together.
Yeah.
I've got my locations. Now it's
Hmm.
like practice, trying to do fight scenes without looking looking terrible. I've never choreographed a fight scene, so that would be an interesting one.
So
But watch,
you've never directed either. You've never done any of this before, or you have?
I've directed short movies,
Hmm.
but I've never directed a feature length,
Okay,
and
yeah.
I've never directed a actual fight scene.
Mm. And I was gonna say, how long would they like a feature length be? Like, what time are we looking at roughly?
So I'm looking to get the movie done by May. Um, I should have all my footage, and then I'll start editing it up. I've got a deal with the cinema nearby that will let me screen it. So once it's done and I'm happy with it, and I'm hoping to screen it by June.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So, how long have you been in prep for this then?
Mate, I work quick. I started getting cast midway through December.
Yeah.
I had full cast within 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I banged out the script in maybe a week because I can work quick with it. Then one of my friends, Emma, she edited it for me and she gave me a few pointers. And now it's about I'm going to be having a table read on the 11th where all the actors will just read through the script, see if they want to add anything. I've got a few people from the Roma community that help me with like making it authentic, so I don't like anger anyone.
Hmm.
And then we start production. So we're going to do it as a series of shorts in February. So every weekend in February we'll film 2 to 3 scenes. So we should be
Cool.
done by March, end of March.
Nice. Okay. Cool. This is. And when did you get the idea for this? When did this inspiration come up?
Have you watched Snatch? Did you watch Snatch? The one with
I
Brad
don't think I've.
Pitt. It's a Guy Ritchie movie where he's a bare knuckle boxer. So
I have. Yes, I have actually. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
everyone has. They just don't
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
the name.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it stemmed from that, and then I wanted to do it more about the Roma community rather than the Irish traveler community.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I did a lot of research in the Roma Gypsy community because they're originally Indian. So I was like,
Mm,
okay,
yeah.
they're my people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool. So this was literally last year you had this idea in that sense.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh, cool. Fine.
Have an
Okay.
idea, write it down, go.
Yeah.
Don't
Nice.
wait around.
That's very cool. So you're kind of like someone who just goes with it. Just you have to take
Oh yeah,
action straight away.
you
Nice.
have to.
Cool. And so you're gonna release it in cinema this year, hopefully, by June. And then do you have other goals post that, or you kind of again taking it by the flow, like going with the flow and just seeing what comes after that?
So I have my goals written down. I write it down every the sort of the first or the 31st.
Hmm.
I'll write down my goals, but I do it as like it's already happened.
Hmm.
So I write it as
Like
I have
present
made a
tense. Yeah.
movie, da, 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 da. My business is going well. My nettle cream is coming out in
Hmm.
the next few weeks. Uh, I've managed to start putting aside more money for my investments,
Hmm.
and I'll write it like that. And then that gives me it almost feels like you're already in the process of doing it.
Mm, yeah, I get that. Nice.
That's how I've done
Cool.
it always.
Perfect. What is one question I always asked? It's what does it mean to be a South Asian man? What does it mean for you to be a South Asian male?
This is the thing I've never like boxed myself in, as I've always said. I've always just been a man. I come from India. I am from Bombay. I came when I was 7. That isn't my identity. My identity is a guy. I like doing things that everyone does. Now, do I love my Indian food? Do I love Asian food? Yeah, I'd say what it is to be a South Asian man is that I'm brown. This is the only defining factor. right? We're all one people.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess like for me, being a South Asian man, I don't. I'm similar in that sense. I always ask this question, and I'm similar in that sense. But there are parts of my culture that I love, and I think I do respect to a point where I would like it. It does play a big role in who I am, if that makes sense. One, you mentioned food, I guess culture, language, so things like that. And I guess from what you're saying, in similar ways, language, or like food is a big aspect for you.
Movies, like,
Movies, yes, yeah, yeah,
do you like? Because now been a huge influx of like people watching more South Indian movies
yeah,
than Bollywood movies, and it's brilliant
yeah.
because it's great to know that our culture isn't something that's ridiculed anymore, something that
Mm,
isn't laughed at. Our food isn't something that's deemed smelly or people love it. They're like, oh, can I have a? I'll make a great curry, and they actually making curries now rather than putting raisins in shit. So it's like,
yeah.
now I'm happy that the thing of like these borders and these like labels are slowly disappearing. I'd rather us all just be one, but you also hold on to your culture. Your culture is more important than identifying as this South Asian or as a don't put yourself into this bracket.
Mhm.
Just be happy with what you bring, your culture.
Yeah, that makes sense. So not boxing yourself in, but essentially the accepting and respecting the South Asian part of you.
But you are, you're South Asian first and foremost, right? Like you you
Yeah,
come from your parents and they're
yeah,
South
yeah,
Asian. The
yeah.
like I am from India.
Yeah.
You're where are you from, man?
So I'm actually from Sri Lanka.
Oh, brilliant!
Somewhat,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So it's a really proud people. Their culture is strong. Like their food is amazing. So I hope you cook still.
Yes, I
So
do.
like
Probably not a
good
good
food.
chef, but I do cook. Yeah,
Ah, good, good, good.
yeah.
That's
And
very important.
sweet, perfect. Cool. Is there anything? I guess wrapping up. Is there anything that you haven't spoken about that's kind of not come up, or something you do want to kind of go more into?
Mate, it's
Yeah.
feel good. I've got lots of things coming. I don't like.
No,
One
no,
thing is that
I want you to express it. No, go for it. We got time. Don't worry.
one thing that I do want to enforce on people is like, or like not enforce. I'd like to encourage people to do it
Yeah,
is,
two different things.
yeah. I'd like to encourage people to be more comfortable trying things that aren't recommended, that aren't
Yeah.
people aren't people aren't like, oh, you should do this, and then you only kind of look at those things to do. You should try things that you would never try. Like
Hmm.
go dance. Like something that I am very awkward about is dancing. Someone's like, oh, let's go for like a Bollywood dance party. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do that, but
Yeah.
I will go and do it because it will get me out of that weird mindset that it's something not fun. So that's what I want to encourage people to do is just go try something weird today.
Nice. So stepping out that box, your comfort
Yeah,
zone. Yeah.
exactly.
And if I was to delve more into that, what advice would you say to stop their kind of thinking mind to being like, no, you shouldn't do this? What
Oh, that's gonna be
behavior
hard.
thinks?
That's
Yeah.
that's me. I always think I am
Yeah.
extra.
Yeah.
I think everything through like 1,000 times, but I'd say don't let that hinder you. Even if you're thinking, like even if it's scary, try a little bit, and you
Yeah.
will see that it's more fun if you stop thinking that everyone's looking at you. You'll stop feeling so judged. Stop thinking that every eye is on you. It's not. They're
Mm.
more concerned about themselves, and that's what you're doing. Because everyone just wants to live their best possible way.
Mm. So take a small step forward and push yourself as you go more and more forward.
Yeah, baby steps.
Baby steps, nice. Anything else? You said you mentioned a few other things.
Um, what other things? Go ahead, remind me. I'm doing too many things.
So I guess the main thing we briefly spoke about is the idea of like encouraging people to step outside their box, having different passions and not just kind of boxing themselves in that one passion or one job and allowing themselves to experiment. Would you say that's correct?
One thing I'd say, not everything needs to be your job. Not everything should
Mm.
become a job.
And what do you mean by that, if you were to expand into that?
say you're really good at making cakes. Like you are a great cake maker, but
Yeah.
you really like working as a lawyer. Don't be like, I'm going to now become a cake maker in my spare time. Because then your passion for making cakes will slowly dwindle and then it will just die.
Hmm.
If you enjoy doing something, sometimes just enjoying it is the best part of it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice. Um, so essentially, it's like being there in the moment and enjoying the kind of the present moment, as opposed to thinking of like, what can you do, and being in your head.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because I think that's what stops most people is like, am I good enough to dance?
Mm.
Because I'll never be a dancer. That would stop you from ever going to a dance class. It would stop me from ever going to a dance class. So it's stuff like that. I'd say enjoy things. Enjoy things. Like I'm making this movie not to make money because I want to make a movie. I want to see how fun or good it will turn out or how just absolutely tragic because
Yeah.
it's a bunch of people coming together
Yeah.
to see whether we can.
That's cool. So it sounds like you have your work working as a therapist, but like you really are in that in a sense following your heart and like just going with the flow in some ways, going to the unknown,
Yes.
but doing something that really resonates with you and something it might not make you money, it might not go anywhere, but really something that your soul, your kind of core needs to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best thing we can do. Just follow. This is a crazy advice that people give when they land, and I'll always poo-poo on people that have every resource already and they can do all of these things. Sometimes you don't have time. Like as a therapist, sometimes I don't have time, but I'll take aside an hour. I'll take aside 15 minutes to maybe write down some notes or send a few texts or do a phone call or whatever I need to do for those things that I love doing. You won't always have time. You might not be a therapist. You might work a 9 to 5. So sometimes it's really hard. It's really hard to follow your passions. Like if I was a chef, oh, I wouldn't have any of these things. I wouldn't be able to do jujitsu and make a movie or I don't know. I basically go to work and go to sleep, and it's very hard. I think now times are changing a little bit, where the chefs do have a little bit more time. But now that I have grown up, now that I'm not 20 anymore, if I was still chefing, I would take just a little bit of time, just a little bit of time to go do some combat sports, go hang out with my mates, have a laugh. Because the more we isolate, especially as men, the sadder and more helpless we feel as a whole. And I think men definitely need friends. They need friends who are other men as well, because you can confide in them and be vulnerable with them. Don't ever be scared to be vulnerable with your male friends because we do understand. We have grown up. We're not our fathers anymore. We didn't
Mm,
have that.
nice. Thank you for coming on. I've generally enjoyed this conversation. I feel like it's gone
Mate,
everywhere,
same here.
but it's delved deeper into something, I guess, the core reason or the core message that you wanted to kind of spread in the first place as well. So thank you for coming on. If people want to reach out to you, where can they reach out to you in terms of one coming to you work-wise or just even like writers, group stuff like
Just
that?
reach out to me on Instagram or on Facebook. I'm Jaiveer Asthana on Facebook and I'm Turtle Massage on Instagram. Just drop me a message, say hi. I'll happily tell you stuff or chat with you if you've got a book idea. Don't worry, I won't steal it.
Cool, sweet. Thank you for coming on.
Nice one, man. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Have a good evening.
Pleasure.
See ya.
See ya.